All righty. Yay, I think we're live. Okay.
Woohoo.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Benitez, founder of Lindsay B Coaching and a certified coach and speaker with a mission to empower leaders at all levels to redefine what success means, build and embrace their authenticity and confidence, and actively design their dream careers and lives. In this LinkedIn Live series, I'm bringing fellow founders, first generation trailblazers, and just incredible leaders who have inspired me throughout my journey that I know are going to inspire you. Took a break in November, but I'm so excited to be back here with Michael Wilson, my friend. First of all, how are you? And you know my rule, you can't say good, fine, or busy. How are you feeling?
Okay. I will start by saying first, I'm feeling a little under the weather. I have a little cold, so I'm a little nasally. So I'm feeling that. Also, I feel happy and joyful to see you and talk to you. I don't know if I think this is okay to say. Lindsay was one of my first coaches when we went through IPEC coaching together. And I just look forward to our time together. One, just great insight I got from her, great coaching. But it just also was always such a joy to spend time chatting with you and catching up. And Lord knows we spent some of our coaching sessions just catching up. So anyway, feeling happy and joyful to talk to you. And grateful. Thanks.
I appreciate you saying that. I think last time we caught up, so Michael and I met over 2 years ago now, and we always, you're right, have the best conversations. And last time we caught up, we were like, we need to stop gatekeeping because people need to hear some of our really cool conversations. So,
Here we are.
so excited to catch up. I shouldn't have taken my glasses off. Wait, 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm going to read your bio first.
Yeah.
So I want everyone to get to know you because you're amazing. First of all, Michael Wilson is an ICF certified energy and mindset coach, a trained breath worker, and a joy finder on a mission to help others rediscover their joy so that they can human better at work and in life. After a 20-year career in tech sales leadership and many years living with high-functioning substance use disorder, Michael chose sobriety in 2021, leaving his career in tech behind in early 2023, then launching Joyful Gravity, a personal growth and wellness brand. Joyful Gravity was founded with the belief that we all deserve to live a life with more joy and that it already exists within us. Through one-on-one group and team coaching, breathwork and sound healing retreats, and keynote speaking, Michael loves supporting others on their personal growth and healing journeys so that they can rediscover the joy that lies within. His vision is a world where we all live and work with more conscious choice, purpose, and joy versus on autopilot from a place of fear and shame. First of all, when we first met, would you have imagined that would have been your bio 2 years later?
You know what? I'm going to say yes, because I think, especially for the last few years of my career in tech, I started to realize like the jacket didn't fit anymore, the jacket I was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking about this the other day. One of the things we did at one of the last companies I was at is we would be sending weekly updates as a sales organization. And then I would send it to my team and our partners and people we worked with within the company. And I added a wellness component to it. And I think I reflect on that now. And that was something deep within me, like my intuition saying like, I want to help people beyond being their boss, being a peer, a cross-functional peer, beyond selling more product, beyond career development in the workplace. Like I think there was I know there was a part of me that was starting to feel like that jacket was getting too tight and didn't fit anymore. And so, would I have predicted that you just read? Maybe not. But I know there was a part of me, especially for the last few years, where I was yearning and really feeling called to offer more humanness in the workplace, individuals. And I think that's ultimately what pulled me out of there and really kind of made the transition happen.
Yeah. What's something I was reflecting on recently, you were technically my first client, and I always thought I was going to teach and coach leaders within the corporate setting. I was in HR. I went to get my certification just to get better in my role and bring that internally.
Yeah.
And you were also in corporate at the time.
Mhm.
And I remember when we were coaching together is right when you made that transition out. And I will say, I say this publicly, like I used to be very judgy and say like how nice it must be to quit and start something. And here we are both with out of corporate and with our own businesses. So I'm so curious for you, what has been the most surprising thing kind of coming out of corporate and building this business you've built for the past 2 years?
I never thought I'd work for myself. I just, a self-described people person, team player. When COVID hit, I was like, I don't want to go work at home. I want to be in the office,
Yeah.
like return to work. Like if I were back there, I'd be clamoring to go back into the office. Maybe not, but
I was like, you're the only one to say that.
but I was always, everyone would describe me as someone that really wanted to be a part of a team. I wasn't. One of my first sales roles, I was an independent contractor outside sales. And I was like, this sucks. Like, I want to get in an office with a team. So, I think the thing that has surprised me is how comfortable it is to be working as a solopreneur. I didn't expect, I thought that was going to be really uncomfortable for me. Now, I think there's a few reasons for that. One, the work is beyond fulfilling, engaging, stimulating, energizing. I get to make connections like you and other people we met throughout coach training that are, I kind of look at as like my extended team now, my virtual team. We're not doing one-on-ones on a weekly basis, or we're not doing team meetings on any sort of regular basis. That we do it because we choose to, not because the situation or the structure has told us we're supposed to do this. So I think for me, the biggest surprise has been how much I have enjoyed being a solopreneur, which I never thought I would.
Yeah.
So, I think there's that. I think the other thing is how it's been really good for my soul and for my, I don't know if self-esteem is the right word, but just self-assuredness. I reflect back now, and I work with a lot of clients, as you do, that are in the corporate space. And what's one of the biggest things we hear? Imposter syndrome, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody feels it at some point in their life, career, whether that's being a parent, a leader, a salesperson, whatever, right? We always feel like we're maybe punching above our weight. And that used to get poked a lot in the corporate setting. And what's really interesting and surprising is I feel more confident in my skills, my ability, the work I'm doing, my offering, how I communicate to people. And like, I remember sitting in coach training in the beginning being like, who am I to coach? Like, why are they going to want to work with me? And then something clicked. I think it was module 2, like the midway point and all of a sudden I'm like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. So there's this self-assuredness in the work that I think has then led me to more self-assuredness and contentedness with who I am, because I don't think I'm trying to be something I'm not, or fit into something that is uncomfortable, that jacket that doesn't fit anymore, or the box that the work was putting me in. I thought I would still experience a healthy dose of an imposter syndrome, and I'm humble. I approach coaching with humility that I don't have. I mean, we're not supposed to have all the answers, and I do not have all the answers.
Yeah.
But I feel really confident and self-assured of who I am, what I'm offering. I wasn't expecting to be that comfortable in that.
I love that. Something that was so beautiful, and something that you're kind of alluding to, which also struck me so much, is how common this imposter syndrome feeling is. And I don't want to go off on a whole tangent I did last time, because those two words bother me so much because we stop ourselves.
Yeah.
But what's so interesting is we have these visions of what we think we're capable of. Same thing. I did not plan to start a business at all. Like that was not my intention. And then when you and I got partnered, I'm like, oh my God, like his experience is amazing. Like sales leader, we had some similarities. We're both in corporate. Personally, we have a lot of similarities. And then separately, we have a lot of differences, physical differences, right? So I'm like, who am I to coach Michael right now? He should be coaching me on some things.
Yeah.
But I think what was so powerful about our partnership is also seeing how important it is when we listen to each other, how we understand how we all have those insecurities and moments of imposter syndrome, but how we can rewrite our stories if we choose to.
Yeah.
And working with you through that journey of, building joyful gravity was shocking to me, first of all. And I don't think I've ever said this to you, but I thought I was going to work with, leaders of color, helping them up level, like within corporate. Some of my favorite clients, and you were the first, are entrepreneurs who are kind of coming out of that learning to rewrite what joy means, to rewrite what balance means, to take care of themselves so that they could build something different.
Yeah.
And I will never forget the story you shared around how you came to Joyful Gravity and kind of the power behind that name. Can you share the story here of how you decided to name your business? I think you said you had the name already.
Yeah.
Without even realizing that it was coming.
It's a two-part story, and I'm going to not take up the remaining 20 minutes talking about it. So I won't be and this is a practice of mine to be concise and
yeah.
At 48, I am still working on this, probably more so now than ever. Okay, so I think this is on my website. This is a picture of 5-year-old Michael and my best friend Kate. We grew up together. We were raised as twins, and that was in kindergarten. We were having a play, and I remember, some of those moments. Like it's one of those early moments that I remember. I remember sitting on the cold tiled floor, Mrs. Wayne, our our kindergarten teacher, playing the piano, singing my line. Like I remember the play really well, and I just remember feeling so joyful. Like now I can explain that feeling. And then, as I got into first, second, third grade, us boys got out on the playground and I started to realize I was different. Spoiler alert, I'm a gay man. And so I didn't identify that at that time, but I knew I was different. I wanted to play with my friend Kate. I didn't want to play with the boys in that way, the things they were doing. So that sort of like, all of a sudden, this like sort of dark shadow sort of just enveloped me early on in my childhood. Growing up in the 80s, the message was gay men die of AIDS. I didn't identify that way, but that just was playing. I remember sitting, hearing it, my parents watching the news and hearing about gay men dying of AIDS. And then 90s, gay men getting beat up outside of clubs in New York City. And so I think I started to realize something, and that shame that imposed on me was just enveloped me. So fast forward, I came out when I was 26, and I thought, okay, great, figured it out. Like I'm in good shape, I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm proud. But I think like there was a lot underneath there that I had not fully addressed or resolved. And that's when I started experimenting with substances and really, to numb those feelings that were uncomfortable for me. I used substances, and I used the term high functioning because many people wouldn't have known it was as much of a problem as it was for me. And so all of that was happening, and it was February of 2020, so a month before we got shut down. I was at a leadership retreat in Sonoma with our sales leadership team, executive leadership team. We were working with some group coaches, and they sent us into the woods on a little hike, as one does in a leadership retreat. And we were in triads. There's 3 of us, and the exercise was to 2 people stare at the third person, and just write down everything you notice about their essence. What the is an essence? Like, we did it. We just went for it. We spent a few minutes doing that, and then we read it back to each other. And so one of my fellow sales leaders, Joey, he shared with me, he shared some beautiful things he noticed about me. And one of the things he said was, you just have a joyful gravity about you. And he said it and it hit. And I just remember thinking, this is the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me or noticed about me. And I don't know if I even fully recognize that about me. I had been told, oh, you're always smiling in the hallway. You're always have a smile on your face. You're a lot of fun to be around. But there was something deep about what he said, and it hit me deep. And so I acknowledged it, and then I kind of put it away. So that was 2020, pandemic hit, my substance abuse escalated, and then it escalated to a point in 2021 where I had to make a change and I got sober. So that sort of opened up a whole new self-awareness and discovery of myself, where I went, okay, I'm no longer looking externally for things, happiness, connection. Like, I got to look in here. And so I went on the healing journey that many of us do in society in our mid 40s, maybe after the pandemic. And I just went, oh, this kid is in there. Like, he's always been in there. And so I remember sitting in LA for our IPEC training, and I remember us talking about like launching our businesses and what are we going to name it? Are we going to name it Michael Wilson Coaching, or Lindsay, all these different things? And I just went Joyful Gravity. Like, that's it. Like, that's what my mission is I haven't figured it all out, but I figured out for myself that I got to look in here. And so I was like, wait, that's what my purpose is now. How do I help others shut the noise out around them from their work, their families, society, all the crap that we hear, the conditioning that we're receiving? How do you get present with yourself and turn inward? That's the work I want to be doing. That's the work I'm doing. So for me, Joyful Gravity is this like falling in, rediscovering what's inside. It's all of us finding that 5-year-old or whatever age joyful kid that you have inside of you.
I love it. It's such a powerful story. And something that I always took from your story was how powerful it can be to rewrite your own story and kind of turn away the stories that don't serve you. Like, everyone could have had an opinion about you as you were growing up, or, different chapters of your life. You could have listened to them, but you decided to listen to yourself and figure out what kind of story do you want to write moving forward. You don't need to stay down that same path.
Yep.
What's that choice you want to make differently? So that was always so powerful. And that piece of coming back, like, when we were little, we didn't have all the stories and beliefs that stop us, right? We collect them as we go along, or somebody says something because we're a little different than they believe us to be, right? But we can always rewrite those stories and come back to actually what we want to do and choose something different.
And that's the word you just said there, and you've said it numerous times, choice, right?
Yes,
like,
yes.
Me, that people have asked me, they're like, I want to find more joy in my life, right? And what do most of us go to? We go to experiences, things, people. I did, right? I went to let's go to concerts. I love live music. Get me in a Gaga concert, a Pink concert. That brings me joy for sure. But I think the deep joy, or at least what I'm learning, the more contentedness that I think people are looking for, which I think is a cousin of joy. Like, it's not all about all expensive joy. It's like, I want to feel at ease. I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel contented. That's joy. That's a flavor of joyful, and I think that's what people are craving. And so, my message to them is this: like, the way to find joy is figure out how to live a life with more choice and more freedom. And I bet there's a lot of people out there, I'll put myself in that bucket, that thought they were making free conscious choices all along the way, but there's self-imposed sort of rules or things we live by that have told us you should do this, or this is what's expected, or this is what someone like you does next. And I think it's a false sense of freedom and choice that we sometimes get trapped into, that then leaves us feeling stuck, resentful, or maybe just muted. Maybe it's not, I don't like to label things good or bad, maybe just muted. And I think once I've seen people shift, when they shift from a place of I'm supposed to do this, I should do this, this is what's next, to this is what I would love to do. This is what I choose.
Yeah.
It like things lighten up, and suddenly with that choice of freedom comes, I believe, I see a more joyful life.
I love that. I might butcher this completely, but there was literally I'm listening to this audiobook, and with a quote that just struck me. I was literally walking and I stopped in my tracks because they said the prerequisite to freedom is the choice to not suffer.
Mm.
And there are so many different experiences that happen around us, but it's how we choose to see those experiences, learn from them, choose to not suffer, but to learn and move through it. That can be really powerful. And yeah, that idea of choice is incredible. I know our time is flying. I could talk to you forever. There has been a lot that has happened for you over the past 2 years, building a business personally and so on. But how are you kind of managing your days? Like, building a business is a roller coaster. I'll just say that.
Mm-hmm.
But how are you managing those days when you might feel a little stuck, or kind of choosing what joy looks like for you now? Because it is going to be different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the first thing that I realized in doing this was, whoa, there's a lot of patterns and conditioning to unwind, like practices, just the notion that I'm supposed to be working at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
I remember driving to the grocery store probably at 10:30 on a weekday morning, and all of a sudden this like overwhelming feeling of guilt came in, like I should be working right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think there's that, just sort of like what the rules are, or like what we're supposed to be doing. Like that is something I had to really check myself. Another example of that was, when I come from sales, and when I started thinking about, my process of doing, free discovery calls with people, like having an initial session with someone just to connect with them, learn about what their goals are. And then how do I take them through the process of making a decision? I went into full blown tech efficiency, productivity, sales mode, where I was like, what's my sales process? What are the sales stages? And I was like, oh, like, this is like a handful of people that I'm talking to, and I get to redefine this. And it's no longer about how do I move someone through as fast as possible, or how do I build my top of funnel so big. It's about how do I curate this experience so that the person I'm interacting with makes the choice that's most aligned for them and most, correct for them. So there was just some of those like unwinding of things, and shifting my own rules that I was playing by. And I think that was scary, because all of a sudden you're losing some structure that we all,
Yes.
we get acclimated to in the workplace, and it's there for a reason. I mean, I have a Post-it note here that says a schedule defends from chaos and whim, right? So like there's a lot of benefits.
Ooh, okay.
Annie Dillard. But there's a lot of benefit in structure, in process, in the 8 to 5 or whatever hours you work. There's reasons we have those sort of that scaffolding around our days and how we work. But oh man, like how freeing is it when you get to remove some of that? But with that comes potential chaos and whim. Like, oh gosh, like how am I going to get things done? So I think to go back to your question, like how do I, manage my days? I think it's recognizing that it's just different. And I don't know what right looks like, because I don't think there is. That has been a big learning, and I'm still getting used to that. But then on the other side of that, it goes back to what we were just talking about. Like, I choose, okay, I'm going to spend time today doing business development. I'm going to spend time today, and this is something that really helps me with my joy, spending time with my dog, who recently passed. But that for me was something that helped my days. Where when I did feel stuck, or maybe it was a little chaotic or whimsical, like, oh, I don't know what's next. Okay, just step away from it. Step aside. Go do something else. Go play with the dog. Go work on a puzzle. Go for a walk. and then come back to it. And
Okay.
because what I realized was it was just that story in my head that was creating more chaos than need be.
The shoulds. You shouldn't go out grocery shopping Wednesdays at 10 a.m., which I do actually. My days are Tuesdays sometimes because it's just less chaos out there. So we have a question in the comments, and I forgot to mention this. If you have questions for Michael or myself, throw them in the comments. We can see them. How do you make that pivot? I'm not sure which part we're talking about, but I do want to double down on what you said around any kind of pivot is a choice,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
We are filled with so many rules and the shoulds and all these stories of what we think is right.
Yeah.
But whether you're in corporate or out of corporate like we are now, you have that opportunity to choose what is right for you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the first step is that awareness. Like, what are the stories you're telling yourself that you think is wrong that somebody else said, but what's real and right for you?
Yeah.
So that's where coaching is so powerful. And, really having these types of conversations where we raise our awareness first, because a lot of this is subconscious. We don't even know we're collecting
Yeah.
until we bring awareness to it. And then we can start to make the choice of what are the stories that don't serve us
Yeah.
and what are the stories that we want to start rewriting.
Yeah.
And I feel you on the schedule. That was the hardest part for me because I'm a very structured person, to-do list and everything. And coming in as a solopreneur, my time is my own, but that also means that my time is money. So what am I going to do with that time?
Yeah.
And I have soft schedules and soft structures, but at the same time, the work that both you and I do comes from our heads and our hearts.
Yeah.
So we need to take care of ourselves first to make sure that we can serve everyone else around us.
Yeah. I'm reading McKay's additional comments around how making
Oh,
the
yeah.
from a technical, like a sales technical
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah.
sale to more of a comfortable demo call. And, I it's a great question. And I think there's a few things that come to mind in this. One, I have really thought about when I decided to build this business, and I think I operated this way even in tech sales, which was not always valued,
Mm.
was let's be who we need to be, sell how we need to sell, educate our prospects, and let them decide. Like, let's stop trying to force someone into a decision. So more of a sales is all about understanding the other person and understanding what their challenges are, their problems are, their pain points are, and then mapping your solution to it. And so that doesn't go away, I think, in this, right? When I do a demo call, a discovery call, I'm asking a lot of questions. So it is like
Mhm.
a sales, discovery in that sense. And then because this is more of a service versus like a tech product, a technology that people are buying, I demo them. I say, I offer them a question. I ask them, if you had 3 wishes, what would they be? And we use that as a demo, and I just coach them for a few minutes.
Mhm.
This is what it would feel like. And so then I'm just like, what are the problems you're faced with? What are you hoping to achieve? Fast forward to the end of 2026. What does success look like? And so I'm very comfortable saying, look, Lindsay, I can help you get there. I know I can support you on this pathway. I'll send you what my offering is, what my pricing is, what it looks like to work together, and make a decision. And I'm here for questions. So it's just, I think it's just turning down the pressure, maybe, but it's just less like mechanical and more organic. I think of it as more magnetic. It's like, I want to put myself out there. I'm vulnerable. I open myself up. Here's what I've got to offer. You may or may not like that. You may or may
Yeah.
not do that. And people will, the ones that need it or want it will come to, will be attracted to that message. So I don't know if that fully answers the question, McKay, but I think it's a mindset shift that I've got to close sales, and
Mhm.
more, it's just, I've got an offering, and I'd
Yeah.
love to support as many people as possible that it makes sense to.
And
And
I love that. And the hard part of what we do is we're offering change. And if the other side isn't willing to change and it's not all the stories and so
yeah,
on, like we can support them through it. But our offering may not be for everybody either. So it's that removing that detachment of it's not about me, it's about them and how can we best serve them and the problem that they're having.
Yeah.
So that has been a huge shift for me too. Of I love demoing coaching because I know a lot of people don't know what it really is until they're in it, and then they can see the power of envisioning what they've been thinking about for so long, but then getting clear on how to get there. And that's what we do and that's what we offer.
Yeah.
But they need to be ready because coaching's not easy
Yeah.
either. So
Yeah.
they need to be ready. And I don't know about you, but I keep, I'm getting clients a year later because they're sick and tired of saying the same thing. And they're like, I need to do something about it. So yeah, they have to be ready.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, how many times I've had clients or prospects, people that are evaluating this, they're coming in with a laundry list of problems sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like, I'll let a client go. I'll let them like, oh, my boss this, my other this, everything. Like, and one simple question, great. What do you want to do about that?
Yeah.
Right. Like, and it just kind of stops them in their track. And because that's it. Like we all have choice of what we want to do about this. It's not to minimize what they're going through or experiencing, because there's a lot of crap out there that people are dealing with. But it's like, great, what do you want to do about it? Because you've got agency, you've got power. And I think sometimes people don't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. To that point, people will say, well, I don't have a choice. We always do have a choice. At the minimum, the choice could be how we see the story and what we say about the story that's happening to us.
Yeah.
Our time flew, which I could talk to you forever. And I think that's part of why we knew we needed to do this. There's a couple more questions in the chat, but what we'll do is keep adding your questions. Michael and I will answer them afterwards. And, that way others can see the answers as well. But I want you to share how people can find you. You have a lot of stuff happening, a lot of different events and so on. So if people want to get to know you, your work, and what you offer, where can they find you?
Yeah.
And what do you have coming up?
The easiest place is joyfulgravity.com. It links to my LinkedIn. Happy to connect there. My Instagram, happy to connect there. I will caveat that with, I have been really absent on social media since my soul dog passed away a couple months ago, because candidly, I just haven't had the energy to do it.
Okay.
There's like a whole other conversation of just taking the time you need. But yeah, so it links there. I'm happy to set up a demo, a coaching discovery call with anyone. There's no cost to it. We just get to know each other and explore what you're looking to accomplish or shift or change or what's going on for you. If you're interested in breath work, I do activating breath work. If you're in the San Francisco area, I do it at Love Story Yoga, which is in the Mission. I've got a workshop I'm doing in New Jersey. I'll be back in the New York, New Jersey area for Christmas. So I'm doing it at a place there. In the spring, in April, I'm leading a retreat, 2 nights up in Cazadero, which is coastal Sonoma County. That is a couple days where we just immerse ourselves in self-reflection, self-awareness. We'll do breath work. We'll do group coaching. It's a beautiful spot. I did a retreat there this past summer. Which it's like in the middle of nowhere and beautiful place, amazing food. And yeah, that's me. That's where you can find me.
I love that. I'm like proud ear to ear. So I love hearing and seeing everything that's unfolding for you. Parting words, what advice do you have for anyone who, let me back up and say 2026 is coming. It's around the corner. I'm not a new year, new me kind of person anymore. I used to be. But we can create intentional beginnings at any point.
Yeah.
But for those that are seeing 2026 as a new kind of year, fresh start, what advice do you have for somebody that, is in this place of, okay, I want to figure out what choices I have. I want to start to see how I can move in alignment, whether it's, you don't need to go start a company. You can find alignment in corporate. And then one of the questions was like establishing boundaries in corporate. But what advice do you have for somebody to start that journey towards figuring out what is important for them, finding that alignment?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, this is probably the most simple, basic advice that I could give and is out there, is just get present with yourself. You've all probably been heard or told, start meditating. And I go through periods of meditation and then I stop and then I pick it back up. I'm telling you, the times when I meditate regularly, things become so much clearer. The noise doesn't stop, but you just can reconnect to yourself. When you're connected to yourself, you start to understand really, truly what makes you happy and who you are. Um, so I think finding a presencing practice, it could be meditation, breath work, journaling, really just spending some time in a solitary way, not on social media, not with others, like really solo, and just getting to know yourself, I think is the greatest gift you can give yourself. And just recognize that, and I mentioned this earlier, there's a lot of patterns that you'll notice, but that will also creep in, and that you're going to have to unwind. And I think one thing, that I remember someone telling me something along this line, and it was really helpful, was that fear, when you're starting to make some decisions or think about making a big change, fear will creep in. And but the challenge is it disguises itself as common sense or wisdom. Did you or I sit here and go, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, how do we, oh, we have this, how do we do this? And it's not that it's not something you need to listen to, but sometimes it disguises itself as, pure, true wisdom. And sometimes it's just fear. So that presencing practice can help you start to differentiate what is what and go, okay, fear creeping in. Fear tells us something. It's there for a reason, but do we let it drive, or do we just listen to it and take it as a data point?
I love that. Get present. And if it is interesting to you or you want to learn more, partner with a coach. Jack's questions I'm like reading through, a lot of it is around how do you set boundaries? How do you communicate it? How do you even figure out what fulfillment is for you? Partnering with a thought partner and somebody that can hold a mirror up can be really powerful to get those answers to those questions that are inside of you, but you are constantly blocking yourself with these stories of, well, what's my manager going to say? Or do I even believe that self-care and stepping away is important? What are boundaries even, right? We start to really understand what the stories are that are holding us back. So get present, understand the stories. And if partnering with a coach can serve you, Michael's available. I'm available. Just reach out and do something about it. What are you going to do about it? Right?
Yeah.
I appreciate you for joining me. We could keep going, but I appreciate you for joining me. And I am sure I will see you soon.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Bye, everyone. If you have any more questions, throw them in the comments, but definitely reach out to Michael. Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much. Bye.